Hi, welcome to Shining Stars. I'm Chantel Taylor, the host. So excited today to help everyone understand a shining star that some would be, how could this person be a shining star? Because it's kind of a tough office, but this is a shining star because this person helps people when they're gone. And we're going to say hi to Lake County Coroner, Dr. Rudd, Dr. Tom Rudd.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This is a wonderful opportunity for folks across Lake County that may not have the opportunity to hear your heart when it comes to being the coroner for approximately 750,000 people in Lake County. Can you tell me what it's been like over the past, you've been the coroner now for 3.5 years, and we have really had some rocky times in Lake County over the past 3.5 years. So again, Dr. Rudd, thank you for being with us today here at Shining Stars. Can you just share with us what is a coroner and just kind of walk us through what it's been like since you've been here since 2012?
Okay. It's been a roller coaster with these 3.5 years. We can get to that in a little bit. But
Sure.
the office of coroner actually was devised many years ago, I think in the 1600s in England.
Wow.
I think it was King Richard who was taxing his citizens, a common problem even 500 years ago apparently, and he ran out of ways of taxing them.
Wow.
So he thought, well, let's tax everybody that dies.
Wow.
And so he went to collect a coin, and the coin was called a corona. And that's where we get the term coroner.
Wow.
Okay, because the individual who collected the coin went to the dead person's house and extracted the coin.
Wow.
Okay, and what he did, he came with 2 knights. So 3 people showed up, and you better turn over the coin.
Wow.
So the term coroner came from corona. And that's how
Okay.
it started. It wasn't until the 1800s, I think Baltimore established the coroner system to determine the cause of death.
Okay.
Prior to the 1800s, you could commit murder very easily and get away with it. We were a
Wow.
very large country, and there are other countries that, you have this vast west, and people get killed, and there's not
Sure.
many people around, you get away with it.
Right.
But as society congregated towards cities, it was a little more difficult to kill people because there are more witnesses.
Right.
So it was established that we should try to bring to justice people who commit crimes of murder. So the coroner system was established.
Wow.
Now, the main reason it was is to determine who did the murders, but it was also a system that was devised and is currently in the same system. The coroner is to document every death.
Okay.
Okay, and the second reason the coroner system is established is to also for a public health reason.
Okay.
If there is an ongoing disease that's going through the community, if we document every death and they come through us, especially from an autopsy,
Sure.
then we can pick up some sort of disease that's going around that may be contractable by others, mostly
Okay.
infectious.
Sure.
But in this day and age, we also have to worry about terrorism. So
Right.
not only do we have terrorism with infectious diseases, we have terrorism with chemicals, and we have terrorism with radionuclide facilities
My
or materials.
goodness.
So if anything comes through this office that we know, oh, there's an uptick in, say, meningitis, we contact the health department.
Okay. One of the things, Coroner Rudd, that stands out to me, for those viewing, Lake County, Illinois has the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich. And Lake County Coroner Tom Rudd has the opportunity to see from the rich to the poor, not only the cause of death, but right now in Lake County, we're in the middle of an epidemic, a heroin epidemic. But also over the past 3.5 years, we've had a few police-involved shootings and one major case you'll talk about just a little bit. But then also, we've also had small children to die. And Lake County Coroner Tom Rudd has made some changes, and some things are happening because of his decisions to be the voice for the deceased, the truth for those that can no longer speak. And sometimes that does not come easy. And so we're here today to just kind of hear Coroner Rudd's thoughts. First, we'll begin with the crisis concerning drug usage. If there was maybe 3 words you can say to the Lake County community concerning heroin, concerning drug overdoses, concerning the things that you see come into your office, what is something that can not only help put people on alert, but kind of help be some type of proactive measure for our county?
3 words: drug treatment programs.
Drug treatment programs.
When I came into office, this county had the smallest number of drug overdose deaths of all the collar counties.
Wow.
So the year I came in 12, we were rapidly going down by almost 50% over the span of 5 years. I think the high was in around 2007 or 8 of a 90 or 100, and I think we reached as low as 40. It was only recently that the uptick in drug overdose deaths started climbing again. But we were one of the few counties that did not have many drug overdose deaths compared to the others. Now we're climbing again. I think we're up to 70 or maybe 80. But over the last 20 years, the average number of drug overdose deaths is about 50 to 60 over the last 10 to 20 years. So we're really fairly stable. The real crisis is not necessarily drug overdose deaths, and I don't mean to say that a single death is not important. Any death, any unnatural death is important, whether it's drugs or something else, like accidents.
Right.
The real crisis is the usage of drugs, and the government needs to act on that usage by providing drug treatment programs.
From the rich to the poor. Well, we know the rich will have the opportunity to put their loved one in a rehab facility that will kind of help with the steps towards treatment, but you feel that, especially in the lower level of incomes, that it's not that help.
No, and the other problem with the lower level of income, it's a source of employment. Okay, so you know, if you don't have a job,
my goodness,
you can make a pretty decent living selling it.
Right.
An interesting statistic is that the vast majority of our drug overdose are among the Caucasian race.
Wow.
We have very low number of deaths in the Hispanic community, very low number of deaths in the Black community.
From the drug overdoses.
From
Do
drug
you think
overdose.
it's because they're ordering this
fentanyl? There could be more. There could be a better knowledge of drugs in terms of how to use it.
Okay.
We now know that most of the drugs that come here are run by a Hispanic cartel. Okay, so they know how to use it. Okay, maybe they're abusing it themselves. They're using it but not dying. Same in the Black community. A lot of so there are drug dealers in the Black community. I'm not degrading Black citizens, but we know where do you want to pick up drugs? You go to the west side of Chicago. That just happens to be Black. Okay, so people that sell it may not use it. I think people in the white community who don't know how to use it are the ones that are dying from it because they don't know how to use the drugs.
Wow.
And since they don't know what they're buying, okay, you know, if you're a dealer and you start selling pure stuff, you know yourself you're going to have to cut back on the injection. But if you sell it to the public, you're not going to tell them that. And so they're using a drug that they think is a certain strength, and it's too much, and they die.
Wow. So now have you seen an uptick as the verbiage that you would use? Have you seen that in, like, say, young adults or maybe even older adults purchasing drugs
there's an uptick
from the internet?
There's an uptick. No, I don't think it's internet. It's too dangerous to buy it on the internet. You can trace it. It's mostly face to face. Now we have a drug overdose deaths. They're going up to about 70 again. But it'll probably average out again to 50 over a span of several years as we watch this. It's the usage that is the problem. We're having a huge number of people using drugs because heroin became cheap. We had the economic crisis of 07, 08, 09. People didn't have the money. So like anything else that you sell, if it's not moving, you drop the price.
Right.
And that's what happened with heroin. It became dirt cheap.
And your solution to that is drug
treatment centers.
Okay, very good.
Or programs.
Coroner Rudd, moving on to another tough topic that, again, in Lake County, Illinois, over the past 3.5 years, it's been pretty tough involving police-involved shootings, and then one of the high-profile cases that are right now still in the, basically still in the press, the Fox Lake police officer. Can you just share with the public, what is it like for you to kind of have to be a truth teller and not allow, things to be, as some would kind of maybe not want certain details to be out there, and what it reminds me of is this scripture in the Bible that talk in Ecclesiastes, where it says that in much wisdom is much sorrow. As the coroner of Lake County, there's been much truth that you've had to kind of look at and unveil.
There's another phrase, the truth shall free ye. Okay.
But how does that feel to, it's got to be so awkward to.
First of all, I am Christian.
Okay.
I was raised to be honest and truthful.
Okay.
So it's second nature.
Okay.
Secondly, I'm a scientist. All physicians are ultimately scientists. Science is about the truth.
And then
Okay.
also, something that you shared when we were touring the office that I'd like for people to know is that before you became the coroner, for lots of years, how many years was that you?
Well, let's see. I came to Lake County to practice at Lake Forest and Highland Park Hospitals in 1979.
Wow.
And I stayed there till the end of 1993. It was my medical group there. I joined as a junior and then became a partner. We ran the laboratories there. And then in 93, I decided to leave my group and pursue a slower lifestyle of medical practice where I didn't have to take call and work weekends. So I then became medical director of the anatomic pathology lab at Quest for another 15 years. So I put in a total of 30 years in medicine. Retired in '09 to take care of my mother, who was in the last stages of Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
And did a very good job of it. She actually lasted three or four more years.
Outstanding.
And then 2011, I was asked to take over the coroner's office and didn't get it. And my ego was hurt, so I decided to run for office.
Okay.
That's how it started.
And you did it.
Yeah.
Was this your first elected office?
Yes.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a ride. I
Right.
mean, having to face again so much truth. Again, so here we move from the heroin epidemic that Lake County is involved in to a police-involved shooting in North Chicago.
Right.
And
And
one in Zion.
that's what got it started. When I didn't get selected to replace the previous coroner in 2011 and decided to run for the office for 2012, the Darren Hanna case came up. I think Darren Hanna died in November of 2011.
Okay.
And he died at the hands of several North Chicago policemen. And he was beaten very badly for 25 minutes with batons on his legs. And then he was tasered 7 to 10 times. It's debatable the exact number, but at least 7 and at the maximum of 10. And when he died, the coroner labeled it not a homicide. He labeled it, I don't know how he died.
Okay.
He labeled it
Undetermined.
undetermined, which is,
Okay.
I don't know what killed him.
Okay.
Which is absurd to any medical scientist, pathologist. That's
Okay.
totally absurd. It's an asinine diagnosis, and it inflamed the family and the citizens in North Chicago, and that's when I started meeting with them at the North Chicago council meeting.
Okay.
And I started talking to him, and I said, look, this makes no sense. I'm going to go in there. I'll analyze it. I think it's going to be a homicide. I got in December. On January 22nd, 2013, I changed the manner of death from undetermined to homicide. As a result of that, several years, 1 or 2 years went by, and they pursued it in the courts, and the Hanna family was awarded $3.5 million as a result of
Wow.
that change.
Now, in other words, if it would have stayed undetermined,
Correct.
it would not have been a
Would
multi-million
it-
dollar
Or
settlement.
it would have taken much longer
Wow.
to obtain.
Coroner Rudd, we were able to walk in your office and you gave us a tour, and we saw all the police patches, and we saw where the coroner's office, of course, is, the crutch of all investigations, and it's, your investigators that will, say what the rule of death was or what the role was. How comfortable can you really be in standing by when something is just so different from sometimes what's presented to you? How do you do that?
You base your examination on science. As I said
Okay.
before,
Very good.
science will not lie.
And you've done that for 30 years.
Correct. Actually,
Wow.
probably longer, because I went into medical school in 1970, so it's probably approaching now 45 years in the
Wow.
practice of medicine. So
So
if
that's
you
gotta
use
be-
science does not lie.
Okay. So, Dr. Rudd, we know, unfortunately, politics can just be a really tough area. What do you see that your office can continue to do for the citizens in Lake County when it comes to, again, right away you said the crises concerning drugs is, drug treatment for the unfortunate ones that use it. And then when we, talked about some of the police-involved shootings, one in particular, the North Chicago
Mhm.
case. Can you just help us understand what is it like to have, case after case of,
Well, the vast
You know.
majority of cases are straightforward.
Okay.
There's only 4 controversies. There's the Hanna case so far, the Justice Howell case, the
Okay.
Kalazinski Kingen case, and of course the Glinowitz case.
those
But-
are huge. I
Right.
mean, the Glenowitz case went nationwide.
I know, it went nationwide. It
A
was
couple of them went nationwide, actually.
well, the Kalazinski case is well known. It's 2 episodes of 48 Hours was devoted to the case. So that's
Wow.
a national program. I'm sure the Justice Howell case is going to become national, because I just found out that the lawsuit has not been settled. It's still ongoing, so
Okay.
there's going to be that. Basically, most of our deaths don't involve the press. We average approximately 4,000 to 5,000 deaths a year
Okay,
in the county.
okay,
Approximately, maybe 10% require the coroner to go investigate.
okay,
And that would be, let's say, again, between 400 and 500. Of the 400 and 500, approximately 200 to 230 actually end up doing an autopsy.
okay,
And just to be clear, the cause of death there's a multitude of reasons for cause.
Sure.
But the most important is the manner of death, and that's
Okay.
only 5.
okay,
Homicides, suicides, accidents, undetermined. These are the ones where you do a broad classification, and those are important because they deal with the law. If you're dealing with a homicide, for instance, it's obviously going to involve police and the judicial system.
okay,
If it's a suicide, it involves things like insurance and estates. Remember, some insurance company wouldn't pay for suicides. That's
Right.
fading away.
Okay.
But you have to figure out why this person killed themselves, so it involves
Wow.
the government. You have accidents that can be related to changing laws, say in driving. Maybe there's an unsafe street, and we notice that there's a lot of accidents there. We
Right.
change things. We change the building of the street, or we change the speed.
So your office
Correct.
literally helps with the statistics when it comes to
Correct.
even,
For instance, we work with the people at Northwestern University Department of Pediatrics, where we have somebody come in documenting all non-natural deaths
Okay.
of children of a certain age. I forget, 12 or less. So we're one of the few that do that in the country, where we involve a pediatric department of a major university.
Wow. Now, what I would like for the viewing audience to also hear from you, again, being the voice of the deceased, and in our opinion at Shining Stars, because Shining Stars are individuals that not only do a great job of helping reach the heart of the citizens, heart of the community, by not only helping and, not falling according to the suit of, the way something would go, but standing out there and shining and leading the way. So now, as we move into the last case here involving the young child, that again you mentioned that it was on 48 hours. Doctor, how do you not only, have this situation come into your office, and you have the grieving parents, and then you have, what you think would be the suspect, but then you'd be like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't line up. Do you do you go through a whole series of an investigation, and then do you talk to, who do you talk to
let
when
me
you
tell you, well, let me walk you
all the
through.
red flags
Right.
happen?
Let me walk you through this without taking a year to do it. I got into office. I was asked to review the case by the defense attorney.
Okay.
I took the tissues. I examined the tissues, both the gross tissues, meaning the actual material, the tissue we took from the child. We keep
And
some
how
of
old
it.
was the child?
16 months.
16 months old. Not even, okay.
And so I also examined the slides, and I examined the photography of the child at the time of the autopsy. And I was stunned at the major gross incompetency of the pathologist doing the examination. He totally misdiagnosed this case. And it was such a grievous error that I couldn't believe it was real. I doubted my ability. So I called in Dr. Nancy Jones, who's contracted to work here and was the former medical examiner of Cook County.
Okay.
She agreed with us that this is a tragic mistake, that
Wow.
an old injury is what killed this child.
Oh, dear.
And so we issued a report. She issued a report. We gave it to the state's attorney, and he ignored it.
Okay.
And he even claimed he didn't get it. He lied about not getting it. And then when I showed the reporter a letter that I sent the report with, he backtracked from his lie. And so what happened, excuse me, is that I talked to the original pathologist, and and it was a collegial meeting. I did not browbeat him. I did not threaten to do something to him if he didn't change his mind.
But you just showed
We showed it, and I gave him materials to read. After about 2 or 3 weeks, he realized he made a grievous error. He signed an affidavit saying, I made a mistake. They're correct with the results.
Okay.
We gave the affidavit to the state's attorney. He ignored it.
Okay.
Okay? Then we found some x-rays in the department that weren't given to the defense.
Okay.
And these x-rays clearly showed there was no skull fracture. Remember, in the trial, 29 times they said, this child died of a skull fracture. We found evidence there is no skull fracture.
So now, in cases like that, you said that in Lake County, you've only come up against like maybe 4 controversial cases. But overall, it's like as we sit here behind this is the map of the whole county that incorporates approximately 750,000 people. So what would you say is the primary catalyst of death in Lake County?
Natural deaths.
Okay.
Most people die of natural deaths. Remember,
So
we
we
have
have-
4,500 deaths
Okay.
a year,
Okay.
and approximately 450 are examined that would be considered not natural.
Okay.
Okay, but when we examine them, some of those 450 are actually natural. So
Okay.
the vast majority of deaths are natural. By natural, we mean cancer, heart disease.
Or old age.
Correct. Remember,
Okay.
drug overdoses are about 50 to 60 a year. Homicides are a real small number, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Okay? Accidents are probably higher, depending on how you define them.
Sure.
Okay? Drug overdoses are considered accidents, so
Okay.
so you have to be careful. There is no manner of death that says, oh, this manner of death is drug overdose. No,
Sure,
most
sure.
of most drug overdoses are accidents.
Okay.
Nobody intends to kill themselves when they take a drug.
Right.
So therefore, most deaths are natural.
Are accidental. Okay. So there you have it from the heart of a Lake County coroner. Some of the very, very vast things that we have, from a heroin epidemic to police-involved shootings to, as you heard Lake County Coroner Tom Rudd discuss a little bit concerning the, what's his name? Young Benjamin. Young Benjamin, a daycare worker, was charged and is actually in jail now. But because of Coroner Rudd, things are turning around.
Correct.
And that daycare worker that is in jail right now is going to be given a new trial because of your findings.
What's starting out is that they're allowing evidentiary examination of the new
Okay.
data. The tragedy of all this is that she will be released.
Okay.
They're dragging their feet. My personal opinion is they're dragging their feet so that nothing is decided till after the election, so the state's attorney can avoid any embarrassment of her being released. They will drag this out in Lake County until 2017, and then she'll be released. It's basically politics. she will be released. She's not guilty of this, and so we're gonna have to
Wow.
wait until 2017 because they don't want the state's attorney embarrassed by him not releasing an innocent person.
Okay. That's, that's how you see it, that's your opinion. But one of the things also that I wanted to just have the people of Lake County hear from your heart, what is it like to see, again, we'll go now to one other interesting case that happened in Lake County, and that's the death of the Fox Lake officer, which was ruled basically a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to everything that surrounded, being here in your office, and you kind of seeing, it was just so clear cut to you from the very beginning, although it was a huge
Yeah,
investigation.
initially when we did the autopsy, the shot that killed him was at least 2 inches below a skin-tight vest.
Wow.
And that's very difficult to do for somebody to approach you, to shoot you that way without the individual being shot defending himself.
Okay.
So when we walked away from the table, we let them know this is
There's
very
no-
suspicious for suicide.
Okay.
However, we did not issue a cause, a manner
Wow.
of death, because we were told that the officer called in that he was pursuing 3 people.
Right.
So it
That was
looked
all
like,
over the.
right, it looked
right.
like it could be a homicide, so we kept
Right.
quiet,
Okay.
all right, because we let them do their report.
But
Yeah.
all along, you were sitting here and just kind of like,
I thought it was a suicide, but we were
Wow.
waiting for police to do their report.
wow.
And sure enough, I let the press know that a single gunshot wound killed him because the press was, really hounding us, and there were some erroneous reports of him being shot in the head or in the legs.
Okay.
So
Well,
I-
that always happens. I'm sure you get all kinds of rumors
Correct.
when you get a
And
big
we
case.
had these rumors, and I thought that these rumors are not very good for the people that live out there.
Okay.
Okay, because you got to deal with facts, and they're
Right.
already
Public
scared.
safety. Right.
They're already scared there were 3 killers out there.
Right.
So I issued a statement saying no, it was not in the head or feet. It was in the torso, which is below your chin and above your groin.
Okay, and that's see, a lot of people
Right.
didn't
Right,
realize
and
that's a
right.
general statement.
That's a
of
general
the torso.
statement. I was attacked for it. It was politically motivated.
Okay.
They wanted this out in the press so that they could use it in the campaign.
Okay.
And I never was issued a retraction of that statement.
Okay.
Okay, I was apologized to verbally, but nothing written.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was I turned out to be correct because the FBI did an excellent investigation.
Okay.
They checked the text messages, they checked the bank accounts, they checked his HR, Human Resources file. Basically, this was not a nice man.
Okay.
And in fact, he tried to assassinate the administrative director at Fox Lake by using a gang member out of McHenry.
Wow. Just on and on when it comes to the bad out of that story. It's like a story that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been a very interesting episode of Shining Stars, because we would like for the Lake County community in particular to be aware and to know who the Lake County Coroner is, because at this time it's a very important time where this could very well be Coroner Rudd's first and final term. But we'll see what happens. But Coroner Rudd, before we close, is there anything that you would just simply like to say from your heart? Because again, what we like to do is we like to share the heart behind community service, and you've obviously you've put your heart into being here and making a difference, because as we walk through the office, what people may not also understand about the Lake County Coroner's Office is actually people come here for the drug tests when they are, for whatever reasons.
Now,
you
if they're
mentioned.
undergoing treatment.
Yes, they come here to the coroner's office. That's kind of a different spin on things in Lake County. But you did mention how, because of your watch, this is the first time this office has the certified medical technologist that kind of oversees.
running the specimens. I just want the people of Lake
can
County
look in
to
the
know,
count,
the people of Lake County to know that we're here to serve you. I mentioned that we basically do scientific analysis of death, and we also a public health office, but we're also a counseling office. We're here to help you go through your loss. We have there's a psychological and social aspect of this, and that we deal with to try to explain why your loved one died, how they died, and what we can do to help you get a death certificate, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a human side to this. One more thing I'd like to say in regards to the public and in regards to people that work in government. Do not sit back in your easy chair and allow people elected to office to just have their way. You have to be active. You have to, this is a participatory democracy. Keep our feet to the fire. If you don't like what's being done in your government, then you have to get active in your community. You have to elect people that will talk for you, okay? Trouble with today is that politicians get into office, promise you something, and then they become elite. Then they become royalty. And they become famous because of what they pass, and that's not who they are. They are our servants.
Right.
That's who they are, and they should be treated as such, as servants.
And that's why, as we close out this episode of Shining Stars, Dr. Coroner Tom Rudd has brought up a lot of areas that, may kind of tear at some people's hearts out there, when it comes to the different things that we just basically touched on lightly. But it is really true what he shared about the democracy and about being involved. One of the sayings that I always share with my friends and neighbors is, those who don't do politics are having politics done to them. So the sooner that you understand the importance of who it is that's serving you, the sooner you can have the better quality of life, from the richest person in the county to the poorest person in the county. And today we've been able to spotlight Lake County Coroner Dr. Tom Rudd, because it has been a very, very interesting 4 years, and he has been a voice for the deceased. And we want to thank you for that, Dr. Rudd.
Thank you.
I want to tell you you've done a good job,
Thank you.
and I know it hasn't been easy, but that's what stars do.
Well, life's
So-
not easy.
Right. So thank you all for this episode of Shining Stars. Signing off, Chantel Taylor.